Hello and welcome. We are out in the large greenhouse today. I wanted to share this little tip for how I feed my greenhouse plants in the winter time here. Most of the compost we do have is being used as a heat source for both of our greenhouses, so we can't really take that apart and use our compost a whole lot. Other than finished compost we had sitting outside ready just for this purpose here. So if you haven't figured it out yet, I am talking about compost tea. We're going to make a small batch. This is just a sample size to show what we're actually doing and how we're doing it. We usually use our rain barrel back there to make 30 to 55 gallons of compost tea we can flood over our entire garden. But being that winter time is upon us and our greenhouse was built just on a grass plain. We had tilled all this up and tore the ground up, but there was just grass here, so it didn't have a whole lot of dynamic accumulators to feed the soil in here, other than what we've done by kind of composting everything up. We layered a little bit of compost in, but for the most part, this is just bare soil. We really didn't have a whole lot of compost to go around in this greenhouse. So we're just growing with what we have. And this is just one more simple, free way to get more out of the plants you already got. So I want to talk about how I'm doing this here. We've got this old shirt and it has big enough holes that it will let the water flow through and let good microbes and bacteria transfer into the water. Got a bunch of finished up fresh sifted compost. I will take a handful of that, and this is per scale. A handful will fill this bucket with the proper amount of compost. A 55-gallon drum requires a bit more to emulsify the entire water source full of compost. So we'll take our compost, we'll take some comfrey. You can chop your comfrey up also, and it breaks down a little faster and it helps emulse that into the water fast. And another one is a little bit of aloe vera. We'll take a few little bits of our aloe vera and we'll let it soak up in our compost tea also. So after we get all this in, we just basically wrap it up, tie this off here, and now we've got a little compost tea sack out of a free shirt and free compost. So one more thing I like to do is I like to use our biochar. This is not lump charcoal, it's super light and it is biochar. We use this to soak up our compost tea. So we will emulse our biochar separately in the compost tea so we can pull that out and spread it around our greenhouse for a slow release of minerals and nutrients and all of the microorganisms that benefit your plant. So the purpose of compost tea is to emulse all of those microbes, bacteria, protozoa, fungi, nematodes, and microarthropods. Those are all things that get emulsed into your water and they get spread out through the crops. Today we're making solar compost tea. I have this little solar panel, little solar bubbler, and now that I pulled it up, it is going to start to activate a little bit here. So I probably should have done this video earlier on in the day. We are late day and the sun is going down on us, so I only have minimal solar activity on our solar bubbler, but I just wanted to show how we're doing this. I have a little solar powered pump here, which you can hear kick right on. I will give a little demonstration of what I'm doing with this here. Now this little tiny pump we set in the bottom of our compost tea when we're ready to water it into our plants. Now all I have to do is put a little bit of that in the sun. We've got a good water flow and we barely have any light coming into the greenhouse. It seems very bright because the greenhouse disperses the light and makes it seem bright in here. But our sun is going down and it's not very strong right now. But we can still flow this water and get a few bubbles coming up. Another bubbler option is just your simple plug-in bubbler with a regular air stone here just for your fish tank. That works just fine. We just use our solar bubbler. This would get a lot better light if it was outside our greenhouse because we're not catching very good rays. So when you're using compost tea, the best time, the ideal time to use your tea on your plants to flood it in is early morning, because all of those plant stomas are ready and open to receive all of the nutrients and all of the bacteria and exchange with the soil. And you don't want to use this compost tea at nighttime because you can have excessive moisture and all of those extra nutrients and minerals and fungi and everything in your compost tea could negatively impact your plants sitting on their leaves wet all night. So Watering in the morning allows everything to dry up and your plant to properly process all of the inputs from your compost tea. Now, if I had a little more sun, this would be a lot more productive, and that is how we're doing our compost tea. Just when the sun's out, it bubbles like crazy. So the system works well, it's just not working that well right now because this is completely dependent on the sun. But this is just one free way to feed your plants basically for free. All of your compost, all of your inputs can just be allocated for free, plants that you have. And I put the input of buying my bubbler one time. So this solar bubbler has ran for almost 2 years for me. We used it in our pond. We've used it for compost teas all summer long, and it's very reliable. So using solar is my only option right now because I do not have electricity out here. So it is a much more free energy way to create something than opposed to paying for the electricity to pump your bubbles. So if anyone has any questions on compost tea, it is very simple, and making biochar is super simple also. Make your own biochar at home and soak it separately in your compost tea so you can pull it out and place it throughout the greenhouse and basically just feed your plants long term completely naturally. I just wanted to share how easy this was to do. It took me a few minutes to set up a compost tea bucket. This is a very small one, but nonetheless we can use this and we will be able to feed all of our plants for basically free, and it is 100% natural. There's no pesticides, no fertilizers, everything is organic, and we know exactly what goes in it. If anyone's got any comments, just drop them in the section below. This was just a simple little demo I wanted to share with everybody, and I want to thank everybody for watching all these videos. I love sharing all of the stuff we're doing, and I love experimenting with all of this stuff for free energy and being as self-sufficient as we possibly can.